Hi, everybody. Wanted to make a quick part two to a video that was about some of the inherent PS3 limitations, namely the fact that the games couldn't be stored on an external HDD drive the way a PS4 can. And this is something that wasn't a problem for me with the PS3, but it was, well, let me just say, it can easily be for a lot of people knowing that you know, upgrading their drive was always the thing to do. Not only just selecting one, but just realizing all you got to do is have, your thumb drive handy and preloaded with, the latest firmware, which is something that will be accepted in your PS3 USB drive, and that's other than the few things that you can actually copy from your PS3 system to that drive. The PS3, you may need to actually restart it with that latest software. Otherwise, you would just see a message all the time that just says you need to update the firmware. It can be lost if a seller on eBay does a full system wipe rather than a quick one. Complications if it was jailbroken and they just wiped the whole thing instead of just a quick wipe. There's lots of reasons why you may actually need to reinstall the firmware with, you know, there's the instructions are everywhere on the internet on how to do that, but it's more about getting it from a Windows machine, just so that you can tell, in this particular case, a new drive that you may get for your PS3 because you want more storage space. You just have to realize it needs that to start up and behave like a normal PS3. Not too complicated, but you'd have to have access to a Windows machine to do this. So this is what I was talking about in the other one, and this is the one I'm always, I'm downloading tons of games, and unlike the PS3, the PS4 games are actually very rich and lush, and they take up more data space. Because of that, I noticed it immediately when I got my PS4. It's just a launch model. Have 500 gigabytes, but it turns out I could really use. Started noticing after a while I really need some more space, but it turned out not to be a problem. And I have a real quick, friendly recommendation I'd like to make on a external USB HDD. The external HDD is just something that basically will store all your game information, the games themselves, through your USB onto the drive. And this is something the PS3 could never do. It becomes more necessary with the PS4 because of the amount of data that's involved with each game. The texture gets more rich. The amount of games downloaded from online are taking up more space, and to have an extra storage space on your PS4 is really an easy conversation to have, because pretty soon your data on your HDD for your PS4 would get filled up with only 500 gigabytes. PlayStation 3 was a different story. The games were a lot lighter. They didn't have as much data or kilobytes or megabytes or gigabytes. The updates didn't, and that 250 gigabytes went a long way. And that was the case with me. I never did need to upgrade for my PS3, and I love my PS3. Still use it all the time. But right now, about the PS4, this is a good old system that basically just, it belongs online. I bought so many games from the PSN store, it isn't funny. The updates are just as take up just as much space, and the only way I can possibly be happy was learning. And games are games. I mean, they should be fun. So I want to tell you something briefly that you can do that you could never do with PS3, considering the lack of USB outport for a PlayStation 3. I mean, it has USB outports, but it can't output game data. It's not allowed to, so it can't be recorded by an external source and played back and stored that way. There's the one thing it can't do. But you can be sure if you're going to upgrade your space, which is easy to do, by the way, and to get one, to get a new drive, that you're going to need your USB that's loaded with the latest firmware, even if it's just a precaution, just to be able to restart and get your new drive going. That's just to avoid frustration. I know that much. But it turns out the PS4, as cool as it is, I can only show you that this cord here is taking up one of the USB drives. And over here is just a little Seagate HDD drive. It's a tiny little thing, but it has 2 terabytes of space in it, and I would recommend it to anybody. And the reason why is a simple one. It's very hard to find online between the ones that claim that they will work with a PS4, and then there's alternately ones they claim will work with a Xbox. And I can tell you one for sure that does something amazing that the PS3 would never ever do, to output game data to a external HDD. So I'm wondering if anybody would like to actually know what's a surefire model for, the PS4, one that will actually format itself on the PS4 machine, that kind of thing, one that will definitely work. I'll jump right to it. I got the Seagate 2 terabyte. It's a removable drive, and it's for PS4 only. It's so easy to find these things, but they come in. Here's the model number, folks. STG X2400. On Amazon, they go for about $62 right about now. And they are a surefire way just to plug and play, and it'll ask you, the PS4 will say, is it okay if we format the drive? And from them and from me that this will work. But 2 terabytes is an awful lot of space, but it's gonna work out pretty nicely for you. Trust me, you can't go wrong with that model. And when it comes to this kind of electronics, you don't want to get the wrong one. You want to get one that actually works. So in the meantime, my data was actually spilling over from the 500 gigabytes to all stuff. It just gave me complete user control over what I can move to my removable drive. And the only caution is that if you're going to remove your removable USB drive, is to actually go into your settings and basically disconnect it and say, disconnect my device for safety so you don't lose data. It's incredible. It's just a wonderful thing, and it makes it a joy to actually not have to worry about data space, especially on a PS4 with so many, I don't know, the games are just really full of, they take up a lot of space, and as long as it's not doing it on your hard drive, you're in good shape. So let me recommend that one more time. It's the Seagate 2 terabyte. It comes in 500 megabytes, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, 4 terabyte, 5 terabyte, and it's totally your choice. But it's actually hard to select one of these without. I just wanted to give a solid recommendation on what I know would work. STG X2400. And that's from a guy who uses one and knows that it works. So hopefully this reaches somebody who can actually use this information. All right, well, happy gaming, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.